Starting a business is a lot like climbing a mountain or taking your first backpacking trip. It's a journey that leaves her boots worn and her resources tapped. At day's end, there's a pride in recognizing how far she's come. But who is she? How does she keep going when there are barriers along her path? What happens when we take our love and make it our business? These are the stories of individual women with different entrepreneurial ventures, and together, they are shaping the future of the outdoor industry. There is a growing overlap between technology and the outdoors. Alyssa Ravasio founded Hip Camp in 2013, a sophisticated camp reservation interface that makes it easier to get outside and camp.
Starting a company, no matter what it is so hard. And I just think anyone who says otherwise either is like the luckiest person on the planet or lying. Upon having the idea for Hip Camp, the first thing that had to change was I didn't know how to program. And so I had this idea for this website, but I didn't have any money and I didn't know how to build it. And so I went to a programming school and I learned how to code. I didn't want to either wait for someone to give me money for this idea or, convince some boy that they should build this for me. Like, I wanted to do this. I wanted to have the power to do it on my own and just see how it went before involving too many other people. I think because, especially in the outdoor industry and the tech industry, a Venn diagram of which Hip Camp fits in the middle, these are both industries that have been just dominated by male leadership. I think what female entrepreneurs often bring to the table that can be different is a type of leadership that leaves a lot more space for things like emotions and feedback and sensitivity. And I think that can be really powerful, especially on a small team, for everyone to kind of feel this space where it's okay to say, I'm afraid, or that hurt my feelings, or that made me really angry. Sharing those kinds of emotions are often viewed as weak or soft. I think they're really strong and powerful, and I think it takes a lot of courage to do that.
If you know Alyssa's background and her family, then you'll know that her mum is an environmentalist, and her dad is involved in kind of small civic politics and is always helping out the local community. And so when Alyssa went off to study the internet in college, I don't think it's any surprise that she came back and built a company based on connecting people with nature and getting people connected with the outdoors. And I think there's this furnace inside her that understands that right now is a really important time for the environmental movement, and that connecting people with nature kind of turns a light on in many people's heads.
Hip Camp was born from a camping trip. I'd spent many, many hours very frustrated trying to figure out which campground by the ocean I could camp at. But upon arriving, I found out that somehow I had failed to learn what was probably the most important part about the campground, at least for me, which was that it was an incredible surf break. I'd actually taken my surfboard out of my car before driving down because I'd assumed if there'd been surfing at this campground, it would have been mentioned somewhere on the state park website, and it hadn't been. Driving home that day, actually, it kind of dawned on me in a flash. I was like, wow, we really deserve a better way to figure out where we can get outside. It's really important for people to spend time in nature, and if we don't build an easy way for them to use technology to connect with the outdoors, it's not guaranteed that people will continue to do so.
An entrepreneur starts a company because she recognizes a problem that needs to be solved. But one of the most exhilarating aspects of starting a company is how the solutions evolve.
Originally, what was envisioned to be a way to aggregate public campgrounds now has turned into a platform that creates campgrounds. So we now partner with private landowners and create entirely new places for people to camp. For too long, I think we've looked at land and humans as either this land we can't touch, we must protect it from the people, and this land we're going to exploit and just completely destroy. And I think there's a big space in the middle where humans are actually living and working with land in a way that supports human life and is good for the rest of the environment, and that's where our private land program lives.
When Alyssa first reached out to me, I was already looking for a revenue stream to help us out with the sanctuary. And when she pitched the concept of campers coming, nature lovers coming out to the land, it just made so much sense.
It's easy to look around at the political climate today and realize that that division right now between urban and rural communities is not good for anyone. And so building community across that gap is something we're really excited to be part of. Entrepreneurs in general are people who aren't afraid of risk. They kind of know that things could get really bad, and they tend to know that risk and reward are generally proportional. And I think they're people who have a power to see the world in a way that it's not. People who found companies, I think in general, are very persistent and tend to not take no for an answer and tend to take failure in stride. And I know that's cliche to say, but it takes a unique type of person, I think, to handle all of the no's and people telling you you're stupid and people telling you something's not going to work just again and again and again and again until suddenly it works and everyone thinks you're a genius.
In terms of, I think an emotional commitment is just understanding that you won't always be first. You know, we definitely have a strong relationship, but also there are certain other demands of her time and attention that have to be met. And that's just a compromise that is. But I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, I get to watch her grow. And personally, I think that's a great thing.
I'm actually wearing the word balance on my wrist just to remind me of how important it is to keep that time for quiet time in nature and cooking at home and working out and spending time with family and friends. All that stuff makes me as a founder a much stronger and smarter and more strategic leader who can be more impactful with my time. I'm a person, not just a company. Like, we're different things. And I think that space is so healthy because the outcomes of my business aren't a direct reflection of me. I'm almost like channeling this energy to build this company, and whether the company's doing great or not great, like, I still feel good about myself.
A business can be used as a vehicle to impact the world. Jenny Amaraneni and Dana Holliday started Solo Eyewear, an eco-conscious sunglasses company with more than just profit in mind.
I would say that Jenny is extremely compassionate and kind-hearted, and all of her decisions come from a really good place. She has a genuine desire to help people.
Dana is one of the most talented and hardworking individuals I've ever met. I was reading a book called Out of Poverty by Paul Polak, and in the book, Polak made a couple of references to the need for eye care. And it really piqued my interest because I've had poor vision pretty much my whole life. I started doing some more research and I came across these crazy statistics, like there are 1 billion people in the world who lack access to eye care. And over 80% of the world's blindness is preventable. That really lit a fire under me. There were dozens of organizations out there trying to address these needs. So I wanted to find a way to help support them and scale their efforts. And I just had a light bulb moment. Like, why not launch a line of eco-friendly sunglasses where we can use a portion of our profits to fund eye care for people in need?
Very early on in launching the company, we put out product and discovered that it was breaking.
I remember trying to sell a pair of glasses. I was walking with my boss at the time. I was trying to sell her a pair of sunglasses and they just broke in my hands. And she was like, no thank you. And I thought, oh my gosh, I never want to feel this way again.
And we knew that it was the entire production run, and we faced the question of what do we do? Our business is really built on integrity and honesty and transparency, and so we decided to pull back the entire collection and take a pause in our business until we could create product that we were proud of. And that was like a really defining moment for our business.
Entrepreneurs are made in those low moments, when there's no choice but to bear down, learn, and move forward. Jenny and Dana listen to the heart of their business, the same heart that takes them to volunteer in San Quintin, Mexico, to distribute eyeglasses that they donated to their nonprofit partner, Restoring Vision.
I notice again and again on these trips the team of people that come together to support these organizations. You have people from all walks of life that want to come together, volunteer their time, and help out, whether their background is in ophthalmology or business.
When I work with the volunteers, I always tell them, you put the glasses on the patient and you wait for it. You wait for it, because what you're looking for is the smile that this is the right pair of glasses for them.
I think that to change the world, we need a chain of people and corporations and nonprofits. This cannot be done only from one side. It has to be done with the help of everybody.
It's a roller coaster ride. And I think that's another thing that helps Dana and I keep going, is that sense of support. I personally could not do solo without Dana. It's such a tough journey, and to be able to have a partner by your side through it has made all the difference.
We have some really incredible struggles, but we also have some really amazing moments.
Dana and I keep going is that sense of support. Frequently, if one is feeling more disappointed or morale's especially low, the other's able to compensate, and together we come out of those situations. Because it's inevitable that you're going to experience disappointments and failures. We've experienced them across the board. But when you have that strong teammate, you realize that there is no storm you can't weather. There's always an honest way of handling situations and being transparent, and that's what carries you through them.
As a kid, Chelsea Griffie didn't have access to the outdoors, but she's turned her life work into changing that story for others.
Growing up in Chicago, we had some access to the outdoors, except that there's not a whole lot of camping and stuff like that in Chicago. I do remember that I talked with my mother, and I was like, I knew in my mind I wanted backpacking, I wanted mountains and stuff. And my mom was like, that's nice, honey, we don't do that. And I was like, ugh. I started rock climbing when I was 27. I kind of liked it because I had a background of being a dancer. And I think that plays into the balance. It made a lot of sense to me. I was a climber and I lived in Yosemite, so that was just a thing that you did. You gotta climb El Capitan if you're a climber. There's almost did you do it yet? I was surprised to learn that I was the first African-American woman to climb El Capitan, because I felt like people had been climbing El Capitan for pretty long. I've done it 3 times. The first 2 times were with women partners, partly because if you do it with a male partner, people just assume he did most of the work. At the moment, I can't climb as much as I would because more of my mojo is going into LA wilderness training.
Chelsea applied to work at Bay Area Wilderness Training in 2006, 2007, and through working with her and talking with her, saw immediately that she was super comfortable in the wilderness and that she also put others at ease.
I wanted to start my own chapter of wilderness training. What Bay Area Wilderness Training did, LA could use. Let's get kids outdoors here too, come on.
I think Chelsea and I have this fundamental understanding of how important it is for kids, especially kids of color, kids come from low-income communities, to be able to have more resources to get them out so that they have access to a place like this place.
And a big key to getting kids outside is equipping them with gear. Chelsea doesn't just train wilderness guides to get kids outside. She has a stocked gear library.
So we're in the gear library at the Stronghold Climbing Gym behind the Hobbit door. Here we have boots, backpacks, we have clothes, sleeping bags. We have 96. Then they can borrow stuff from our gear library to outfit themselves and their kids.
Access to the gear library has been life-changing. It's always been a dream of mine to take these young people out into the outdoors, but we simply didn't have the budget. Because we have access to this library, our young people are creating bonds with one another, they're developing new friendships, they're learning valuable skills that are gonna last them a lifetime. It has completely changed how we do programming.
She took those skills of being able to put others at ease and she incorporated that into the way that she teaches. And that's what makes Chelsea such a great teacher. She's just a passionate person that brings along other people with her. You want to be in the outdoors with Chelsea.
I think she turns her passion into an action through her organization to really provide that experience for the students.
Starting a nonprofit is not that easy. Doesn't matter if you're doing fundraising or trying to get people to buy stuff. It's kind of a similar thing you're trying to make happen. I would definitely say there are similar highs and lows between running a nonprofit and challenges you might face in the outdoors. In some respects, the challenges with the nonprofit are harder than the outdoors. I know the ropes and how things work outdoors, but with a nonprofit, I'm still trying to work it out.
Jeanine Pesce has a knack for knowing what's next. She's a trend forecaster and a creative director, and she heads up her own consultancy called Range.
I think a role that I see women in the outdoor industry having in the future is pretty dimensional. I think we're just really starting to see the potential for what women are capable of achieving when they kind of join forces across brands, across media, across grassroots alliances. We're just starting to feel really empowered and I think find our voice within the community and to take that seat at the table that's ours. So much of the outdoor industry has always been kind of a male-dominated industry, but I think within the last even 2 years or so, we've seen this amazing handful of women from CEOs to just activists spearheading this movement and empowering and giving women the confidence to follow in their footsteps. So I started Range in 2012 after about 10 years in the industry working in a variety of companies. I felt like it was important to profile the modern outdoors woman because it was almost as if she was standing in front of me screaming, waiting to have her moment. No one was really speaking to creative women living in urban environments that also enjoyed going outside and being in nature.
Jeanine lives by the ocean, just an hour from New York City. And even though she has a home office, she draws inspiration from the pulse of New York and the growing urban outdoor scene. Cultivating a network is vital to running your own business.
Happy Hour is a happy hour for outdoor enthusiasts and also a community of urban dwelling outdoor enthusiasts who come together every month to celebrate and share their passion for the outdoors. Everyone has a place outdoors, whether that's a walk in Central Park or they're summiting a huge peak.
I think that our lives have become so digitally dependent that people are yearning for the need to get outside and connect with nature in order for people to really survive the pressures that, modern society puts on us as functional adults. We need to have that kind of escape and that release, and I think nature provides that opportunity to a lot of people living in cities.
I would describe Jeanine as a powerhouse. She's a trailblazer within the outdoor industry.
I think, honestly, the most important characteristic you can have as an entrepreneur is to just be hardworking. When you're pitching clients and you're balancing a budget and trying to think about the growth and strategy of your company while also running daily operations, if you can't put those hours in, then you're not going to survive.
Becoming Annie's mother definitely changed Jeanine. I've noticed that she's reprioritized her life. Annie and Cooper come first, and work is still so important, but she has boundaries now that I didn't really see her put into place before having a family, before Annie.
By seeing me as a business owner and as a leader, it's only going to set the standard for where she could go in life. The struggle is real when it comes to being a mother and a wife and a business owner and a human. It's funny too, because I think that people equate vulnerability with weakness, and I think that that's really a shame, because I think when you're vulnerable, it means that you're open to experiences. I think that the modern outdoors woman has dramatically shifted in the last few years. One, because she's definitely more confident and she's more vocal, and I think she recognizes that there's strength in numbers. And I think she's just really feeling more like she's part of the bigger picture of the conversation. I think people really want to be part of something.
Do whatever it takes to build your confidence, because if you can think of an idea or have a desire, pay attention to whatever it is that excites you and just go for it.
I really think we need more women starting companies. I think that it's such an amazing way for a person to take the unique gifts and experiences they've had and turn it into something good for the world.
I think a lot of times people have fears in their head that keep them from doing stuff because they're like, oh my God, this might happen and that might happen. And just shut up, breathe, and do it and see what happens.
If I could give advice to someone who was just about to maybe strike out on their own or maybe leave their job, I would say to just remember it's going to get hard, but there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. And if you are passionate and committed to the work you're doing, then you will succeed. It may not be right away. It may not be for 2 to 3 years, but it will happen. If you stay focused on what you want your end goals to be, you will get to those end goals.